Hey everyone, welcome to the Joeri and Alby Living Life in the City podcast. Today I have a special guest joining me on the show. She is also an Instagrammer. She has over 14,000 followers and gets over 1,000 likes per photo. Her name is Mandy, and her Instagram handle name is Mandy_Stans. Again, that is MANDY_STANS. Welcome to the show, Mandy.
Hey Al, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So the reason why I have you on this show is because I see that on your page. I go, one, you have a positive attitude.
Thank
Two,
you.
you're photogenic. Three, you quickly built a following. Four, you're an influence whether you think it or not. And five, this is my favorite thing that I notice, is you keep things real. So
I do.
yeah.
I do.
How do you feel about all those points? Does that kind of express your page?
It does. It sounds very complimentary. And this is my first ever podcast. So thank you for having me on.
Again, thanks for joining me.
No, I think that all the things that you said are true. And I certainly didn't set out with all of those intentions when I started my Instagram page, but things just kind of unfolded to become that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you've built up a pretty quick following, I noticed, and no, good for you for that. It's a hard task these days because Joeri started a few, well, maybe about 2 or 3 years before I did, and he was building rather quickly back in the day too. But now it seems a little harder now.
Yeah.
With mine, I really have to. I really have to be diligent and just be on it a lot, just to kind of keep my following going.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely takes a lot of work. And although I did build it relatively quickly, it's because I put a lot of time and effort into building my page, analyzing insights, following other people, just being really active on the platform. And so, it took me my first year. I had no idea what I was doing. I think I built my account to about 1,000 followers in a year. But then in the second year, I grew it to 10,000, and now I'm just over 14. So once you kind of get the ball rolling, it rolls, right? So,
Yeah, exactly. You kind of figure things out. I mean, Joeri and I kind of spoke about how to build it from scratch and,
Right.
maybe having a fun name or, posting regularly and stuff like that. So one thing I noticed about your post, you're always asking questions, which I like because you're building engagement. So are there any other tips that you can give our followers on building Instagram?
I think you have to decide what your niche is. And that, your niche isn't always what you set out for it to be. Sometimes it turns out to be something else based on what kind of followers you start to accumulate. So initially, my page was a personal training page, and I trained women. But my audience grew to be largely men. And so, I can keep trying to target the women, but the reality is that 70% of my audience is men. So, I sort of keep that in mind when I'm posting. Not that I don't try to target women, because I definitely do. But it just, you determining what your niche is and who your audience actually is versus who you might want it to be really helps to build a following, I found anyway.
Yeah, I can speak to that as well. I think with me, I didn't set out to be having the majority of women following me as well. Like I have 8,500 or not 8,700 followers. And when I was looking at my insights, 7,500 of them are women. So, I mean, it wasn't that I was out to target anyone as well. It just seems to happen that way. So, just a word to my followers. If you're not following Mandy, give her a follow.
Well, thank you.
So I have a few questions from our followers. I won't ask all of them because I'll just name a few or ask you a few. What did you find most challenging or things you aren't too fond of when you were building on Instagram?
Well, when I started on social media 2.5 years ago, prior to that, I'd had no social media account. I didn't have a Facebook account. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have anything. So for me, the challenge was starting from scratch. And because I did it all by myself, like I didn't have a social media manager to help me or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, I guess the challenge for me would be, and I'm old, I'm like 46 years old
You're
now.
younger than me.
So, the younger generation, it's all kind of like second nature to them. But so just learning everything yourself and finding what works and, the ins and outs of the different platforms and all that kind of stuff, that was really, really overwhelming for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what are your goals, or like what are you trying to achieve on Instagram?
Well, for me, Instagram is mostly just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me a hobby, something to do. Like, my kids are older now, and so as a
Mm-hmm.
mom, I'm less involved in, dedicating my entire waking moments to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it just keeps me busy, keeps me entertained. Like I said, I started out as a personal trainer, so initially it was to promote that business. And I don't do that anymore. I do a little bit of influencing with companies and
Yeah, I noticed that. That's good.
yeah, and a little bit of social media management for some small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so I use it a bit as a vehicle to promote those things, but yeah, it's just kind of like a fun thing for me for the most part.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it could result in something for being on Instagram. And it happened that way for Joeri as well, where he's kind of transitioned his work into now just building social media sites for companies.
Right.
I mean, it's a good way if you can get and I always say it's free, right? It's free
Right.
advertising. All
Yep.
it does is it just takes a lot of your time. But what are you doing after work or after hours where you're just sitting on the couch watching a show? I mean, you can dive into this for 30 minutes to an hour a day. And
Exactly.
that's exactly what I did. So, okay.
Yep.
So another follower said a little bit about the life of Mandy. What makes you who you are today?
Oh, well, that's complicated, but my life is not really that exciting, I don't think. I'm a high school teacher,
Mm-hmm.
so that's where I am weekdays, and the rest of the time I'm kind of just like a mom and a partner, and I do regular stuff. So nothing too exciting.
Okay.
Um, yeah. We try
Okay.
to travel a lot, although
Not
this year
this
is
year.
not really that great. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit tough. I mean, yeah, definitely this year. I mean, this whole COVID thing is just going bananas right now. I mean, especially down south, right? I'm very grateful to be Canadian, although we're having our issues up here too. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, I hope we get a handle on this, and I hope the world rights itself. Then we can all start
Yes.
traveling again and enjoying each other's company. So,
Yeah, yeah, that more than anything, it's hard to go without seeing people that typically hang out with, like my parents. Our parents are getting older, and so
hmm
we try not to expose them to potential risk. And so, it's just tough for everybody.
yeah. So for me, I mean, the same thing. I was adopted at birth, and I just reconnected with my mom last year.
Oh, wow.
And so we started building a really good relationship. She's going to be listening to the show. Anyways, we started building a really good relationship. But unfortunately, COVID struck. And I think the last time, at least we got to celebrate her birthday. So,
Oh, that's
so,
nice.
so that was the last time I've seen her. And that was just several months ago. So hopefully this just goes away. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be a while, but if everyone behaves themselves, then maybe we can get out a little sooner.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get it done by next winter anyways. That's my
Yeah.
anticipation. So one follower said, women empowerment. You're great at it. I 100% agree. Would you like to
Thank
talk
you.
about that?
Well, again, it's that is actually something that I initially set out to do via my social media. I never envisioned having this many followers, but I have two daughters, and as a mom, I feel that it's important to show my daughters that all of the opportunities that are available to men are available to women as well.
100%.
And even though we're in 2020, there's still a huge discrepancy between men and women in terms of how we're viewed, the expectations of us, and all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that more than anything, for my daughters more than anything, is the reason why I feel like I want to expose or to show the opportunities that are available to people,
Yeah.
and to support women in, maybe non-traditional environments.
No, like I said, I 100% agree that you're great at it. So keep that
Thank you.
going. Uh,
Thanks.
I know it's completely different, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm mixed Chinese and mixed English.
Mm-hmm.
So, I went through kind of the same kind of thing as growing up too,
Right.
with that as well. But it's different, but it's the same. So I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's awesome. So on our show, I always talk about 3 of my favorite pictures that my guests post.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to give a little background on each of those photos.
Okay.
So November 12th, 2019, you're wearing a love shirt, and
Mm-hmm.
you say your caption basically reads, "What do you love about yourself? Stop focusing on the negatives and let's focus on the positive attributes."
Mm-hmm. Well, that kind of lends itself to what we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Women empowerment, and I'm not sure how it affects men as much, but as women, and especially, it doesn't really even matter how old you are bombarded with images of total perfection at all times, and it's a very difficult standard to live up to. None of us is perfect. So it would be nice if we saw, not that we want to see everyone's imperfections all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
just acknowledging that, life isn't perfect. People aren't perfect. We all have, you know, less desirable traits maybe, and that we could maybe embrace those a little more.
Yeah, I feel that if you're not, if you're saying you're perfect, I highly disagree. Like I don't think there's a person out there like that. So,
Pretty
uh,
unlikely.
yeah.
Yeah. And so just, it's okay to have flaws. It's most people don't like to highlight them on a regular basis,
Hmm.
and that's understandable. But, you know, admitting to some imperfections, I think, is okay and needs to be done a little bit more often.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the younger generation feels the need to be perfect all the time, and I don't think you need to be perfect.
Hmm.
I mean, the being imperfect is actually perfect for me. So,
It also affects, my generation as well, right?
yep.
So I'll be 46 in February, and so as a woman of this age, and I know that lots of my friends feel the same way now, when we look on social media, we're seeing all the 20 somethings, they're in fabulous shape, they haven't had
Hmm.
kids, they're, this, that, and the other thing, their skin's not sagging,
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's kind of like, so it's good to acknowledge that, different stages in life, it can be just as attractive too, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And they will get there one day, right?
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
hope so, anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Your next photo, again, like, I mean, I like all your photos. I've always supported your photos, but I love the captions on these. So, October 30th, 2020, your caption reads, "What was the best part of the week for you?" You mentioned that we are hearing a lot of negatives these days. So, you
Hmm.
ask your followers for good news to share.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's important again, especially right now where with COVID and all that, and there's all this negativity, and then our neighbors to the south were having the election, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, so just sharing even just a little bit of good news. Like, I don't know about you, but when I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see something funny or I see something positive, it makes me smile.
Yeah.
So just hearing something good about somebody else's day can be a brightener in my day.
Uh-huh.
And just kind of realizing too, helping people to realize that nothing monumental has to happen to be good news. Some things, sometimes little things are all you need to say, yeah, today was a great day, or
Yeah,
this was a great week.
for sure.
So,
So this is my favorite photo. Like, I mean, I this is kind of the reason why I started following you. You started your Instagram a little bit after I did.
mhm,
Your caption reads on this photo that was posted on October 9th, 2019. Your
mhm,
caption reads, "Type heck yes if you wish we could be more appreciated for how our bodies really look like." that to me gave me, it drew me to your page right away. So,
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I see it. Well, that one, so, I've had two kids, like I said,
hmm
and you can see evidence of that on
yep,
my stomach, particularly if you zoom in, and it's loose skin. And forever, and still even now, if I'm being honest, I look at that and I think, I hate that. Like I don't want that to be there.
hmm
But it is there. I mean, I could get it removed,
hmm
but that's again trying to sort of focus on the positive aspects rather than the negative. The
exactly.
fact is that I have had two children. I am 46 years old,
hmm
and so I kind of try to look at it sort of as a badge of honor that I went through these two pregnancies. I birthed these two beautiful babies, and I should be proud of that
Yep.
rather than embarrassed or ashamed.
Yeah, hell yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, you would never trade not having that for the two kids. So that I know for sure.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, there are different definitions of beauty or what someone finds attractive to, and I don't think it needs to always focus on the aesthetic. Like, I mean, we see beautiful images on Instagram all the time because Instagram is a visual platform, but
hmm
when we're meeting a real person in real life, we're not only interested in their looks ultimately. So,
That's right. So I actually, I was on a film set one day. This was last year, and I met another Instagrammer, and she was telling me that she actually got commercials and stuff. Like she was doing like Toyota commercials and stuff like that. I was
hmm.
like pretty proud of her and all that thing. And she's like, who lives like this?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, the people can be, and she was in her 20s too, but she kept it
yeah,
real, which I really liked.
yeah,
She said, "Who lives like this? Like traveling the world, you're sitting in a bathtub or a sauna full of rose petals.
yeah.
You're overlooking, I don't know, Malaysia or something like that, and
Hmm.
it's not reality,
No.
and that's what kind of the struggles that the younger generation's having. I guess they're
Hmm.
always constantly trying to validate or get approval,
Hmm.
of being a somebody,
Right.
when this is really not the case of reality here, because it's really tough.
Yep.
And to live a life like that would cost millions, right? So
Oh, absolutely.
unless you're getting
Absolutely.
sponsored left, right, and center, which I highly doubt, but
Yeah.
it can happen to some. But yeah, no, I just want to say, yeah, really good on you for your page. Keep it going. I could see you're going to be building and building and building, kicking my ass. But it's okay, because I'm proud to call you one of my followers, and I follow as well.
Yeah, likewise.
So yeah, do you have any other tips? Like for me, I used to, when I first started, I was posting up every day,
Hmm.
and now I'm kind of just posting 3 times a week because I check my insights out, and after
Hmm.
5,000 followers, I think they give you insights or whatnot. I kind of look at that and kind of get a gauge of when I post. I post 3 times a week. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, usually between the hours of 7 and 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Hmm.
Are there any other tips that you want to give out, like posting regularities and stuff like that?
Yeah, I do the same actually Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and then sometimes it'll differ a little bit, but that's traditionally what I do. Um, because yeah, like you kind of need your post to age. You need to give it some airtime. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a fine wine. You have to let it float around in Instagram land for a little while so that it can grab some engagement. So I was like you when I first started. I was like crazy posting all the time,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like twice a day, and you have to also think that you don't want your audience to be annoyed with your spam.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the accounts that I manage, I also keep on a 3 post per week schedule,
Good to know.
and yeah, just common things that if you do simple Google searches, that's what I did to learn how to use Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Using the appropriate hashtags to match your post, trying to post at a time when your audience is online,
Mm-hmm.
giving a call to action in your in the post. Like that's why I often ask a question, right? It's
Yeah.
because to sort of drag out more engagement, because when Instagram is analyzing your engagement and deciding if they should show your post to more people, they're not just looking at the likes, they're looking at how many people commented,
Exactly.
how many people saved, how many people shared, all of those metrics. So, I personally try to use as many of Instagram's features as I can. So I'm just sort of getting into Reels now because I know they're popular, but always keeping my story active, even though I haven't posted that day, just to keep things rolling.
Yeah, I don't like the funny thing is me too. I think I've used Reels maybe once or twice, and I know they're trying to make it take over TikTok or
Right.
take it in place or whatever. And then stories. I notice you do a lot of stories. I only do stories here and there, more about my podcast than anything else.
Right.
But I mean, it's good. It's there for you. Why not use it? It's free advertising. If you're trying to promote yourself, if you're trying to be an influencer, why the hell not, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, just spend a little bit of time. There's no easy solution to everything here. There's no easy solution to building. It takes a lot of work.
No.
And it's hours a day before. It's not so much anymore. I concentrate more on my podcast now.
Right.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But if it starts taking over your life, then I say you have to scale back a little bit, right?
Yeah. One thing I would never recommend that I know a lot of people ask me is about purchasing followers, and that is such a bad idea.
I agree.
I can't, I'll get what I'll get a lot from people as well. Should I just, buy a few just to bump me up over 1,000 or whatever, and no, absolutely not, because that totally wrecks your engagement rate
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
So I would never recommend that.
Yeah, that's a great point you brought up because honestly, like these marketers, they will look at your page. A lot of them would look at your page, and I've been offered a few myself. They'll look at your page and they'll see the type. Like, I mean, I have 8,700 followers. I guarantee that I have over 1,300 likes per photo now, and that goes anywhere from 1,300 to 2,500. And that's a pretty high engagement with the amount of followers that I have.
Yeah.
Now what I see on some people's sites, like they might have, I don't know, like let's just say 100,000 followers or 50,000 followers, but they can't crack 1,000 likes. So that tells me they either bought their followers
Yep.
or there's no engagement between that person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if you and I are noticing that brands who are doing their research to pick somebody to work with are doing a deep dive
Yes.
onto your profile and figuring that out. I mean, you can go on Google and type in engagement rate calculator, and you can find someone's engagement rate, or the chance that they might have legitimate versus fake followers. And
That's right.
so if we can find that out, then someone who's scouting you for a potential influencer partnership or whatever it is, they are doing that 100%.
Yeah. I always try to, when I do see people that have quality photos out there, I do try to reach out to them, and I do say, here's a couple tips. I'm not trying to pull you towards my podcast, but kind of. but
Yeah.
but I give out a lot of tips, Joeri and I both. So like I had somebody tell me just yesterday that they paid for a sponsor, right? And they paid a few bucks for a sponsor picture. And they said they got a few hundred likes from it. And I was like, no, I've never paid for a picture. I've never paid for bots. It's all hard work. I wouldn't even go into getting paid sponsor a photo or promoting a photo. That's just my opinion. Because a lot of those people, they'll just zoom by, they'll like your photo and just keep going.
Yeah.
A lot of it's really rare that someone will see, hey, it's a sponsored photo. You like it, you go into it. For me, I out of 1,000 sponsored photos, I think I may like one of them, and then I'll go into it because it was just that good that I'll look at their content and whatnot and maybe give them a follow. But for the most part, that's just trying to, do shortcuts.
Yeah. There are no shortcuts, so
Yeah.
unfortunately.
All right. Well, awesome. So, do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
well, that's the end of our show. So if you're not following Mandy, give her a follow on Instagram at Mandy_stands. Again, that's MANDY_STANS. Thank you, Mandy, for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me. It was
You're
fun.
very welcome. Great. All the photos will be on YouTube version of this episode. So please hit the subscribe and like button if you liked our show. Thanks again, everyone.